I hate when people come to me and they're experiencing rejection or they're experiencing frustration in their lives and they blame it on just feeling like they're failing or not good enough, because if you see it as failure, you start to internalize that and you start to see yourself as less than. And if I saw myself as less than because I didn't get into Harvard, then I wouldn't have had the confidence to keep moving forward to get to where I actually wanted to go. Hello! Oh my God. Hey guys. Welcome back to Too Smart for This. It's Alexis Barber, your host, and I'm so excited for today's episode because by the time this episode comes out, I think it'll finally be announced that Too Collective has collaborated with Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez for an exclusive custom robe that you can shop at rarebeauty.com. What are you talking about? Like, I can't believe that this is happening. I actually can't believe that it's happening because I haven't seen it yet and I'm recording this prior to the launch. But I also can't believe it's happening because it's been almost 9 months in the making. It's been so incredible to work with, to figure this out and to like have this opportunity as a small business, as a small Black-owned business. And yeah, I'm just kind of like, whoa. You know what I mean? I'm like, whoa. So I just want to start by saying, oh my God, and thank you. And if you guys have not purchased a Too Classic robe yet, please head over to Rare Beauty and support if you have any Rare Beauty lovers. The robe is really cute if you're watching here on YouTube. It has these 3 adorable patches and it's like just a little fun and flirty and like a good way to remind yourself to take care of you. And so please support if you haven't already. It would mean so much to me because working with this brand has been such a dream and I really want this collaboration to be successful. But wow. I feel like I wanted to take this opportunity where such a big thing is happening for me and my brand to talk to you guys about the power of trusting your timing, because I just remember in the early days of entrepreneurship feeling so defeated by all the different roadblocks that would come up in my life. And I want to talk to you guys about how to get through that and how to trust your timing and that everything's working out for you on the right timeline. So, oh my God, I don't even know where to start. So, oh my goodness. Hi everyone, welcome back. We took the last few weeks off of the podcast because I was on vacation. I was in Mexico for 2 weeks with my friends. I needed this sort of vacation after school. I needed this sort of time to reconnect with myself and get back into like what inspires me, because I was really burnt out after school. And it's just so annoying for me to admit that I couldn't do it all while I was in school, but I couldn't. And now that I have the summer to really focus on me, I have less than 90 days to really like make Too Collective what I want it to be the best influencer I can be, and like enjoy my summer. So we have a lot coming up, a lot on the docket, and I want to talk to you guys about all of that in next week's episode about Hot Girl Summer and everything I'm doing to plan my summer. So stay tuned for that. But in this episode, as I'm celebrating like such a big milestone, I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about how I feel like I got to this place of feeling peace, because so mmany women, you probably feel this too, whether you're a woman or not, feel like we're on a timeline. And I feel like when I was there, this happens in tons of different areas of our lives, okay? So like in my personal life, in my relationships, I feel behind, even though I'm only 25, because I grew up in a super religious and like sort of more traditional place. I'm from St. Louis, and I grew up in a family where by the time every woman in my family has turned 25, she's had at least 2 children, usually more than that. And so, and is married, by the way, and I'm single, very single right now. And so it's very crazy to me that like, I just feel like when I go home, like I see everyone in relationships and getting married and stuff, so I feel behind. In my career, I remember always feeling like I needed to get ahead and always feeling like I was focused on the next big thing or the next big promotion or the next big name. When I was an undergrad, I was so focused on getting the next internship, I was so focused on getting the right job after college that it always was like, go, go, go. And I think in life, it's like you always want to have the next like thing. I mean, like materialism. I'm a material girl. You guys know that. I love to shop, but it's always like, okay, what's the next like product that I want to buy, or by this time I want to have this, or by this time I want to have this house. And I think we can all get trapped in this, especially because we're comparing ourselves to other people on social media all the time, where it's like, oh, they got married by 30, or they have 3 kids by 35, or they did this, and I want to be on that timeline. I often faced this as well in my influencer career, where I was constantly like, oh my God, why am I not blowing up? Why am I not a huge influencer like these other people are getting these opportunities that these other people are getting? And I would always be like looking around being like, oh, why not me? And be so frustrated and sad with my career and the things I had, even though I had such amazing opportunities that were placed in front of me despite being a smaller influencer. And so I just remember the last few years, probably up until about a year ago in my business, I constantly felt like I wasn't on time. And I constantly felt like I wasn't figuring it out, and that things just weren't happening for me, and that it was just because I wasn't good enough, or because I couldn't, or just wasn't meant to happen for me, and that I was failing. I think I struggled a lot with that. And I remember this time last year, in May of last year, I don't think I booked any brand deals. And I was so devastated. I was like, is this career even gonna be for me? I went on a trip to Europe with my ex-boyfriend, and he made a comment about my like abilities as an entrepreneur that really broke my heart and hurt my confidence so much. I don't want to get emotional talking about it, but like I remember that moment and that day so clearly of just feeling like completely, I guess I just want to say like I just remember feeling like a complete failure, and that was probably a year ago to the day. And since then, my life has done a 180. No longer in that relationship. My business has collaborated with one of the biggest celebrities in the world. I just finished my first year at the best business school in the country, and I passed everything, which I didn't think I would. I made more money in 1 quarter than I did in a year as an influencer, and have collaborated with almost every dream brand on my list. And I'm so much happier. And I just cannot believe this time a year ago, I was writing journal entries that were like, is it ever going to get better? Am I ever going to be okay? Am I ever going to be healed? Am I ever going to be happy? And I am. And so obviously it's so much easier to say that when you've come out of it and you're on the other side. But at the same time, I just want to offer a piece of, advice and some resilience, inspiration for you, and talk about why trusting your timing is so important and how to do it for yourself. So I guess that was a long kind of intro, but I'm just like kind of in awe of my life. So, all right. The first thing that I kind of realized in the last year that's helped me trust my timing is that none of us all want the same things. And I think that a lot of people think that, for example, in career, things are too saturated. They're like, everybody wants that one job, so you can't have it. Or everybody wants, it's so competitive that it's probably not going to be you. Or in life, it's like, well, everybody wants the nice house and the nice car, so like not everybody can get it, so like I'm just going to settle for what I have. And I think I fell into that mindset of like, oh, just because everybody wants it doesn't mean I can have it. And when I was early in my influencer career, I remember thinking, oh, everybody wants this, and as a Black woman, I'm not going to be able to have it. And that was a self-limiting belief. And that's something I've talked about on here before. It's like, that's victimhood. That's like basically blaming my outcomes on something I can't control. And that's not something that like is healthy or helpful when you're trying to achieve a big dream. So what I realized then is that when I talk to my influencer friends, or when I talk to my friends in other careers, I remember thinking like, oh, there's only space for one of us to be successful. And I had to change that mindset. And a big thing that helps me realize this was data. So when I got to YouTube, we were looking at like the biggest TikTokers. We're pulling data so that we could, look at and see like who we wanted to have on our platform and sort of like who was doing well on TikTok. And so we had to pull everyone who had over 4 million followers on TikTok or something like that. And there were thousands of people on this list, and I had probably heard of maybe like 3 or 4 of them. And so that made me realize like there are thousands of people with not just 1 million followers, not just 2 million followers, but over 4 million followers. And I was like, oh my God, there's realistically billions of people on this earth, hundreds of millions of people who are interested in all these different things that you could have completely no idea about that are making a living on social media from those things. And I encourage you to do that in whatever career, whatever area you are looking at. Like, look at how many opportunities there really are instead of believing in this scarcity mindset that there's only a certain opportunity for a certain amount of people. And going back to not all of us wanting the same things, your career is only one aspect of your life. It is not the entire thing. So when it comes to what kind of relationships you want, where you want to live, what you want to do with your hobbies, what you want your fashion sense to look like, there are no two people on this earth who have the exact same vision for their lives. And if they are, perhaps they should get married or something like that. But there are no two people who have specific exact things that they want. And so the reason that you want what you want is because it's meant for you personally, not because it's meant for somebody else. You have dreams because they are meant for you, not because they are meant for you to pass by and like live this life and somebody else is meant to take your life. You know what I mean? You have to recognize that like this life is yours and like your dreams come to you for a reason. And I firmly believe that. Simply because when you don't act on your dreams, it's not like they go to somebody else. It's like somebody else doesn't get what they want. Olamide Olowe said this on my podcast a couple of years ago. Like, when you don't live in your purpose and you don't live in your truth, you don't contribute to the collective that wants everything to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And so it's important for us to recognize that, like, you're not just doing this for you, you've got to do it for other people too. I think about influencers I follow. If they didn't create content and show me what was possible and show me how much they could create their dream lives from what they're doing, I wouldn't have done it either. If people didn't share the realities of running a business, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it myself. You know what I mean? So we exist not just for ourselves, but also for other people to live in their truth and follow their dreams. And that's why none of our dreams are exactly the same, because we're all meant to influence each other in various ways. And so another thing that's important to note, however, is once you've decided that you're going to follow these dreams and it might not be happening for you right now, that's because it's either not meant to or you're not ready for it. And this was something that's tough to come to terms with. So the things that are not meant for you, let's start there, because that's where a lot of like rejection and failure starts to eat away at our consciousness and we start to feel guilt and shame around these things. But in reality, you are often not meant for the things that you want, and you're lying to yourself about really wanting them. Or you really do want them and they just are not good for you. And so I now never think of anything as rejection, and I never think of anything as failure. And those were things that people when I was growing up would tell me, like, oh, there's no such thing as problems, there's only opportunities, or oh, there's no such thing as failure, you're always figure out where you're meant to be. There were two big moments that I felt rejection and I was so devastated. And both of them had to do with college and grad school applications. So luckily, I've never been rejected from a job. And I know that's annoying to hear, but like I haven't applied for too many and I've gotten all of the ones that I've wanted. And so I remember when I was applying to undergrad, however, I applied to this program called QuestBridge, which is for low-income students, basically, where you'll get into the program and then they'll match you with a college and you'll go completely free of charge. And I remember thinking that this was probably the only way that I was going to be able to afford college, because my family was super low income and we did not have a lot of money. And I knew a full scholarship at a great school would be amazing. And I applied to QuestBridge and I didn't get in. And I remember bawling in my dorm room in boarding school, knowing like where I was a scholarship kid, by the way, don't get it twisted. I was devastated and I really didn't know what was going to happen or how I was going to be able to go to college. And that weekend, this friend of mine, this old family friend who had really taken me in, and their family had been really generous to me, and I think I really credit them with giving me everything I got to be able to go where I am now. They invited me to come visit in Chicago that weekend and visit the schools in Chicago. And so I went and I toured Northwestern. I fell in love and I ended up applying early decision. And I got into Northwestern with a full scholarship. We didn't have to pay anything. I didn't have to take out any student loans. And I remember not being obsessed with like the way Questbridge was working, but thinking it was the only way. And when I didn't get it, I felt lost and I just had to find a new path. And the new path ended up being perfect for me. And it ended up being everything I really wanted because I got my dream school and I got a full ride there. And then when I was applying to grad schools, my senior year of college, I did deferred enrollment applications for MBA programs. And I remember applying to 4 programs, and I had done a program at Harvard Business School, and I thought I wanted to go to Harvard Business School. The reason was for the name. I remember really not liking the curriculum and how it was focused on the case method. So everything at Harvard is taught in the case method as opposed to like actual lectures and other things like that at other schools. And I remember while I was going through the process, falling in love with Wharton, but not really allowing myself to want to go to Wharton because I wanted the quote name brand that Harvard would give me. But I knew it wasn't truly a match for me, but I knew I would go if I got in. So when I got to my Harvard interview and I bombed a question, I remember being so devastated that I failed, I guess. And when I didn't get into Harvard, I was so sad. But now looking back at it, Wharton is perfect for me. I'm so grateful to be here because I have the people that I love. I love being in Philadelphia. I love being an hour and a half away from New York because at that time I wasn't an influencer. I didn't know I would need to have access to New York and have access to everything there. And everything has worked out in such a perfect way. And I just remember, I hate when people come to me and they're experiencing rejection or they're experiencing frustration in their lives and they blame it on just feeling like they're failing or not good enough. Because if you see it as failure, if you see it as something that you are not getting, you start to internalize that and you start to see yourself as less than. And if I saw myself as less than because I didn't get into Harvard or because I didn't get into Questbridge, then I wouldn't have had the confidence to keep moving forward to get to where I actually wanted to go. And so what I beg you to do is the next time you see something and you're like, oh, I didn't get this because I'm not good enough, reframe it. Say it's not good enough for me. It's not what I needed in this moment and it's not what's right on my path. So I'm happy that it's passed me by because it's this or it's something better. And that really has helped my mindset so much because it's like truly nothing that is meant for you will pass you by. My third point on this is that sometimes we're not ready to receive what we want. And this is something that a lot of us ambitious people have to wrestle with, specifically because we want it all and we want it all right now. And we want to get it all done. We want to have everything in our brains and we want it to be all done. But like at the same time, is that really going to make you happy? And this goes back to my like HBS, my other points. Like what I truly want, I always get. And that's what's painful because sometimes what you truly want is something that doesn't fit with your ideal, I guess like vision board of what your life is. And also what you truly want sometimes is something that you want out of trauma or that you want because you aren't really facing the reality of like what is really going on in your life. So sometimes when things aren't happening for you right now, it's because you're not ready. And I remember when I first launched To Collective, I had this like pipe dream that it would all sell out and become a like $1 million company overnight. And I knew that wasn't realistic, obviously, but that was what my little dreaming and manifesting and stuff was taking me in. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to be delusional in some ways. But realistically, was my company or me ready for all of that? Absolutely not. And it's only been over the past year and a half as we've grown the company that I've been able to learn so much and be able to take on feedback and be able to iterate and be able to grow the company that I've been actually able to take on what I'm meant to take on. You know what I mean? Like, I guess like what I want to say is if Rare Beauty came to me for a collaboration a year ago, I wouldn't have been able to do it because I wouldn't have known where to start. We wouldn't have had the patch ideas. We wouldn't have had the infrastructure in place. We wouldn't have had the tech infrastructure in place. We wouldn't have had the data to back everything up. You know what I'm saying? It was because I kept going for a year and I built all those things and I worked out all those kinks that I was able to execute on this opportunity when it came to me. And it was still scary and it was still hard, but what it's doing now is preparing me for future opportunities. And so as much as I wanted a big like blowout, huge, I guess, thing when I started my business, and that's sort of how I felt in that moment, I wasn't ready for it. So of course it wasn't going to come to me. So something I think about now when I'm like, oh, what do I want and what is like annoying me that I'm like not getting and I'm like upset that I like don't have it fast enough, I think, okay, wait, if that came to me today, would I be ready to receive it? And I always always say no, because genuinely, like, if I got everything I wanted today, I would not really be able to take it all in or appreciate it, and I wouldn't really be able to handle it all. Like, think of it to yourself. Say you are like, I don't know, an actress, or say you want to be promoted to management in your job or something like that, or you want to have like millions of dollars. If you want $1 million, but like you can't manage the money that you have now, how do you think you're going to manage $1 million? You're not going to be able to. So instead of thinking about what exactly you want, become the person that can handle that type of stuff. Become the person that can handle that type of success. And oftentimes what your life is doing is putting you in positions to make you learn how to handle those things so that you can be that person when it's time for you to finally receive what you actually want. Your life is putting you in positions to prepare you. I remember when I first experienced any sort of like online hate or anything like that, I remember it hurt me so bad, but I learned how to deal with it, and I developed my own confidence to where I believed in myself enough. And now that I have more exposure and more eyes on me, I can handle that because I went through that hard point, and that was preparing me for what I'm doing now. And so whatever frustration or whatever issues you're dealing with today, it's preparing you for something in the future. And I think of that with relationships and dating, where it's like there's no wasted time in relationships or dating because it's preparing you for something that you're going to experience one day. And as long as you can see things through this perspective and ground yourself and come back to this perspective, that's when you're really going to be able to take these things and not resent them or not be frustrated with yourself or feel like a failure. Because if you can see it like that, then it will better prepare you for when things do come to you in the best way possible. And so I had to get ready for this Rare Beauty collab. I had to be okay with not getting what I thought I wanted in the past when I got rejected. And I had to learn to let go of the things that I thought I wanted but really didn't serve me. And so I want to give you a couple of takeaways that you can use to trust your own timing when you're feeling a sense of failure, when you're feeling a sense of rejection, or when you're feeling like you don't know what's next. And so one thing that I learned from one of my favorite influencers, she talked about this on her podcast, Life with Mariana, is write out everything you want to do in this life, everything that you want to accomplish, and like literally every single thing that you want to do. So on mine, I want to have 4 kids, I want to have a company, I want to start a fund, I want to have houses in these places, and I want to live in these places and travel here and have this Birkin bag and this Chanel bag, right? And like I put it all on one, like write it all down. Imagine if you got all of that today. Like you can't, you know what I mean? And so that helps you put in perspective that like this life is a journey for a reason, which means that in the place that you are now, you have to appreciate what you have. Because 1, you wanted this before, and 2, now that you're here, you have to appreciate it now because you have something now that you're gonna wish that you had in 5 years when you have all of that success. Maybe what you have now is like you don't have to manage the life of like the children around you, and you have time to yourself as a single woman. So you don't have to enjoy your singledom. I remember seeing a TikTok recently about a woman who's like felt like her life wasn't really going to be lived until she got married and had kids. So when she was single and young before she turned 30 and got married, she didn't really embrace it. She just sort of like felt like it wasn't real life yet. And I felt like I could totally see myself going down that hole where it's like in this era where I'm single and I'm not working towards like marriage with somebody, I could totally see this as a time where it's like, oh, it's not real life yet, because that's sort of how a lot of women are conditioned. Instead, I'm going to enjoy where I'm at right now, because one day I'm going to wish that I had an apartment that I could completely decorate by myself, and then I got to sleep alone every single night and do my skincare, and then I wasn't planning a wedding or like planning children and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like you have to remember where you are right now is there for a reason, and that's going to help you trust your timing, because everything that you want is you're going to have it at some point. Just expect that you're going to have it at some point, but it's going to come with its own challenges. So you have to be present and grateful for where you are right now. Something that really helps me with this is being grateful and having a presence/gratitude list every day. So sometimes I will make a gratitude list in the morning or at night, or when I'm feeling really anxious, I just try to go back to counting my blessings and what I'm grateful for that day. And I don't do the big things. I do the things that I genuinely feel in my heart, like, yes, I'm so glad I have that. And that is sometimes my apartment, because I'm like, oh, I freaking love it here. Sometimes it's when my coffee tastes just right and I'm like, thank God. Like sometimes people get this wrong and it's so annoying. Or sometimes it's when my outfit turns out exactly how I want it to turn out and I feel so amazing in like how I appear, and it just like makes me feel better. All these things that I try to find that genuine feeling of like yes, instead of thinking, oh, I'm grateful for my health or I'm grateful for this. It's like, I'm actually grateful for my health today because 2 days ago my back was killing me and I'm so happy that it's not anymore, you know? Think about it that way, and like every day being present and making a gratitude list is going to be super helpful in reminding yourself that you are where you are for a reason. I remember, and another thing is that not everything happens overnight, and if it's not happening for you right now, it's not meant to happen for you right now. So I remember always looking at all of these big influencers and being like, oh, I wish that I had what they had or whatever. And then I thought to myself, after being like sort of tangential to the industry, I would meet a lot of these people, and I never had the same connection with all of these people as I did my genuine friends who are like not influencers, not involved in it at all, or in the corporate world, whatever. And I remember thinking, you know what? Like, I'm really happy that I'm not blowing up and like in the same sphere as these people, because I don't like them and I don't like how this industry is right now. What I want for my life is different, and it's not actually this. And so although I thought that that's what I wanted in that moment, I realized after being like a tasting or experiencing it that it wasn't really what I wanted. And that's the reason that it didn't happen for me, is because it wasn't meant to. It was meant to for other people, but it wasn't meant to for me. And that's why I'm so grateful, because you're always grateful when you look back on things that didn't happen for you. And so when it comes to that though, you have to remember that not everything happened overnight, because a lot of these things that we're observing online are of people that we think are like, oh, like it just happened for them. Like they're so lucky. It just happened for them. And I'm saying, I'm sure people will say that when they see this Rare Beauty collab come out, but girl, I've been working on this for years. Like it didn't just happen overnight. I had to keep going every single day. And that's the beauty of it. You have to keep going every single day. A really good book about this is The Alchemist. It's so helpful, and it's so annoying to read because when you're impatient and ambitious and you want it all now, it hurts. But the point of life is realizing that's not how it really works. Something I try to do is be really transparent about how long things actually take and how much work things actually take, because a lot of people, or a lot of women, when you interview them, they say, oh, it just happened, or look, I got lucky at this time. And sometimes that does happen, but it's always coupled with hard work. And success is where hard work meets luck. That's the truth. That's the truth, okay? Now, all of this being said, I don't want to minimize anyone's feelings about feeling rejected or going through discomfort or not getting what they want, because that's pain. But that's also a part of life, and you can choose to react to it in two different ways. You can choose to react to it by accepting that your timing is yours and that you're going to continue focusing on the good and focusing on what you can control to get to the next place, and taking, signs from the universe that if you're not getting what you want, maybe you either don't want it, or it's not meant for you, or you're not ready for it. Whatever those three things are, one of those three things, you can take that and you can make changes and decide what to do next. You're in control of your life. I'm in control of my life. We're all here with these different dreams for a reason and going through these different journeys for a reason. So with that being said, your timeline is yours, and it's the most perfect timeline for you. And if you can just remember that, when you get to where you're going, it's going to feel so great, because you're not going to have felt so much tension with it as you've gotten there. So even though I don't have everything I want right now, and I don't have everything that I set my goals out to be, I still know that it's all happening for me on the right timeline, and it's all happening for my highest good. And that's why I'm just really grateful right now to have this opportunity and to share it with you guys, and to be the creator that I am and have the audience that I have. And I'm grateful because it's happening where it is now. And with all of that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Again, please shop the Rare Beauty collab. It comes out, I think, on June 4th, 2024 on rarebeauty.com. I will be sharing, and you'll hear more about it in the coming weeks. I love you guys so much. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube if you guys want to watch the video versions of the episodes, on anywhere on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you could just take a second right now to rate and review the show, I would really appreciate it. It helps us get more guests and more opportunities for the show. And also, if you could follow me on Instagram and TikTok, that'll be fun too. We've got a lot more content coming this summer about building the business and creating this amazing community. So love you guys so much. And don't forget, you're too smart to not love yourself.